Hello and welcome everyone to Breaking News in a Small Town. I would like to bring to you some reporting breaking news from Big Ma's front porch. Her pet bull has broken loose from her living room. It is now rampaging across the town. Also across town, beloved home bar, the little place where we would eat and drink, the dive bar called Dinks, has collapsed. Good news is the upstairs apartments are now serving liquor and food. Pardon me, sir. Welcome to the scene of the incident.
I hate to stop this earth-shattering news report, but I think this is the wrong show intro. Yeah, I think you got mixed up for maybe one of your hobbies or something.
I don't even have anything else to go off of. About.
All right. Welcome to Fake News, everybody. I am your host. No, for real, welcome to the Evil Safety Dudes, a show about all things OSHA, how not to die at work.
That's important.
You know, how not to get shot at work, sucked into a machine at work, suck in some bad air that'll kill you 20 years from now stuff. Like, we get deep into the weeds on workplace hazards.
Hexavalent chromium.
Yes, asbestos,
Lead.
cadmium.
Benzene.
I was going to say benzene.
I gotcha.
So, what is this particular podcast about today?
Well, we're doing Lockout, Tagout.
Oh, that's
today.
so exciting.
I'm so excited.
If I ever want to not impress somebody and they ask me what I do, I say, yeah, I train people how to lock and tag out equipment. What'd you teach today? I go, lockout, tag out. And they just look at me like, Aaron, I thought you were cool, man.
We went over the 8 exclusions to not have to write a policy.
I thought you did something cool with your life. I'm like, lockout, tag out, baby, all day, every day.
It's so cool, though. It's so cool. Super
It's a
cool.
big deal. It is, but people don't think it is. But anyway, before we jump into what's going on, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Mr. AJ Hanscom. He is an authorized OSHA outreach instructor who teaches lockout, tag out, if not daily, weekly.
That's right. And thank you, Aaron, for the wonderful introduction. I would also like to co-introduce Aaron Iacino here in the IBC podcast fort, which I just like to lovingly call our fort. He is also OSHA authorized outreach instructor in the general industry and construction.
Which means we don't work for OSHA.
No.
It just means we are authorized to conduct their courses for them, such as the 10-hour and the 30-hour in general industry and in construction. And in today's topic, we don't even get to talk about in the construction courses.
Yeah. Should we just not?
You know, they're like, what? Lockout what? Nothing has power.
I mean, it pops up in like a few. It's very few and far between.
Yeah, like startup. Construction crews are still there. Sparkies are starting to energize stuff. It does matter in construction, but
also, I was teaching it just today, so it popped into my mind. I guess when you have to service a boom lift or a scissor lift on a construction site, it must be lock and tagged out.
Okay.
So I guess there's a few places.
All right.
Far in between.
And before we jump into the weeds on lockout, tag out, everybody's so stoked and excited to hear what we have to say about the subject. But let's just hold them off a little longer.
Maybe the anticipation.
And just do some personal
makes
updates.
It sweeter.
So we haven't recorded in a minute. So
it's been a bit.
What's new with you?
Not a lot. It's a
lame update.
Spring's rolling around. I've been doing less rolling around. Wife and I have been exercising. Just lifting steady. I've been hitting a lot of my good workouts. Haven't missed any.
That's good.
I've just been consistent. Had a real good
shred season.
Yeah. So right now I'm in like a 500, 700 calorie deficit from where I was.
So what's that total calories then?
Right now I'm at like 2,700 calories.
That's your dieting. It's
that's
2,700 calories.
Yeah. I start to lose weight.
That's my when I had a really bad day. I ate 2,700 calories.
Well, I get to the end of my day and sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, I'm under, and I have to like snack and like eat some extra calories. It's a terrible
problem to have,
dude. After days of it can be. How about you, Aaron? You got what's been going on for you? I saw some cool stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
What's some stuff you want to talk about?
Well, the gym's been going good. We had one of our boxers just win a big match, unanimous decision. Proud of him. He's 17 years old.
Awesome.
2 guys made their MMA debuts. One of them had a 36-second knockout on his opponent.
Holy crap.
Tore him up, so that was cool.
36 seconds.
Yeah, 36 seconds. Our wrestling coach just went undefeated in a wrestling tournament. Just smoked everybody. And then
all wins.
Yeah, and then one of our new jiu-jitsu students went by himself to a huge tournament in Omaha and cleaned house too.
Nice.
Ton of medals.
Like,
So
we're talking he won it, like came home with gold.
oh yeah, several. Because he did
Wow.
like gi, no gi, absolute stuff like that.
So
yeah.
he didn't just like go into like one and like
No,
specify
no.
like
I mean,
clean house.
I
He
can't
just
even
did all of them
I can't even remember how many matches he had, but he
in
tore it
one
up.
day. So he had
Yeah.
to keep winning after fighting after fighting after fighting.
Yeah, yeah. So
What a monster.
Really proud of all the work they're putting in. It's been
Heck
going
yeah.
good.
Well, way to go, One Combat.
So let's go into Lockout Tagout now. Let's go back to the AJ quiz. What does LOTO stand for?
Oh, Lodo? All right, man. Lodo is like
That was a softball.
it's
You're
what I do all
fired
the
if you
time.
don't get this one.
So no goofy answer if my job is on the line?
No, Goofy's okay.
Oh, I was gonna go Lodo. It's like when somebody asks how you're doing today, a Lodo. It's not great. It's not bad. It's Lodo.
But what does it stand for?
Lockout, Tagout.
No, but you're funny, Lodo.
I have no idea. I have to make it
okay.
up.
Okay.
Oh, lots of the other stuff.
Lots of
Lodos.
tunes and occipital lobes. I don't even know. But I'm a lazy writer, so I'm an acronym guy.
Yeah, there you go.
In teaching for a living, I also like acronyms too because always saying stuff. Safety data sheet, lockout, tagout. It's easy to say LOTO or SDS.
Right.
So just so our listeners know, because you might see it popped up as something to watch or listen to, and it says LOTO. So let's start from the ground up.
LOTO is lockout, tagout.
All right,
sure.
cool. All right, let's continue with the AJ questions real quick. What is lockout, tagout used for? What was the intent of inventing this thing?
To prevent the release of hazardous energy.
When?
Well, I mean, really all the time. But, I mean, it would only come into play, I guess, if it could harm an employee.
When they're doing what? Why would they have to use lockout, tagout?
Oh, so, I mean, like your maintenance, repair.
Yeah.
Startup, upkeep.
Yeah. You got to shut down a machine, rip up all the guards to work on it. You
Right.
better lock that thing out.
Mm-hmm.
What's the sister standard to lockout, tagout?
Machine guarding.
What's the other sister?
Oh, you're talking about
Right next to each other in the standard. Go hand
permit
in hand.
required confined space.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're really
146 and 147.
really sister standards there.
I do like how they're literally right next to each other.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some real life cases that we have worked.
I think that would make just for a good show. We could just sit here and talk.
We could
about
do
it
that
the
all day
entire
long
time.
because, I mean, I just finished one.
Yeah.
I mean,
that one was bad.
Let's
Honestly, it was really bad. Why don't you?
Well,
tell
no, that
everybody
was
one?
I was talking about the other one, and we can't say company names, but
No.
we have so many stories where OSHA busts people for lockout tagout violations.
Well,
But
because people get really hurt, and
yeah,
it's like it's one of those things where if you're not doing it, you're just like, I've worked with this machine for so long, or I've gotten so used to it, and I know what not to do to not get hurt. And maybe you get away with it for, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, but eventually it just catches up to somebody, and then all of a sudden we're all standing around going, well, why on earth would you do that?
my first OSHA case I ever worked was a lockout tagout issue.
Really? Well, tell us about it.
Amputation of 3 fingers.
Ooh.
Yeah, they had opened up the fixed guard.
Okay. What kind of a machine was it?
I don't want to say.
Okay.
'Cause I might give
Okay.
away the company. It's very specialized.
That's fair.
So, and it was it wasn't a fixed guard. It was an interlock guard.
So like a door, like you could like
Yeah, like like a hatch. And
Swing
so
it
now they
open.
have access to all the moving parts. But if it's a good interlock guard, machine
shuts it
stops,
down.
no problem.
Yep.
But what they did was they decided to break off the little tab
Yep.
and plug it in so they could open the door up and down,
So the
and it
door
would never
always
stop
thought
it.
it was closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
So bad, not
Yeah.
good. And then they were cleaning with a rag inside. I got a lot of rag stories.
Dude, I got a really horrific one that's almost the identical story, but
And so anyway, female was cleaning and was moving it forward as they were cleaning, kind of cycling it, bump cycling it. And the rag caught, and just the human body doesn't let go. Like
right,
all these cases of work, they've never let go of the rag.
right.
Like in my mind, like, why did they not let go of the rag? But it happens so fast, and probably instinctively you grab versus let go and
Sure.
danger signs.
Actually, yeah.
So it sucked the hand through the blade and severed off 3 fingers.
Ooh,
Triple amputation.
that is insane.
That was my first one.
So I have an almost identical story.
Okay.
Like it's creepily identical.
Okay. And I
This
know
was-
it's not the same case.
No, it's not the same case. But this was one I heard. Actually, this is not a hearsay story. This was another company, and I can't give away company or trade information. But this was a company story that they used to train their employees. Never do this.
A real story that they had.
In their facility. And so what they were telling people that had happened was this gal was working on a machine that had interlock guards, and inside this door panel, when you opened it, was rollers. So it was like these stainless steel rolling pins. Each one was just 1/4 of an inch apart. And what you had to do at this place is you'd open the door, and you'd have to unplug the machine and put your lock through the plug. And then you could use your rag, and you would clean these rollers and get all this like food stuff and nasty crap that was stuck all over it.
Okay.
You had to clean all that off. Well, this gal had figured out, hey, if I take this big screw and stick it in the button in the interlock door, when I have it open, I can leave it plugged in and turned on. And then the rolling pins will still keep rolling.
Right.
And she would take her wet rag and just run it back and forth across them.
Yeah, save time,
It
right?
would go
Save
so
money.
fast. Her manager liked this. She like because it sped everything up so fast.
Right.
So she was
Efficiency,
Yep.
production.
And everybody was like, yeah, this is great. Like, instead of
Yeah.
this being a 15-minute job.
Victory, you're
this is
so
a 4-minute
smart.
job, right? And one day it caught up to her. She had her fingers in there. She was cleaning. And instead of cleaning on the place where the pins came apart, her hand went into the place where they came together, and it grabbed her hand and started to pull her into the machine.
Oh, no.
And it did what it did. It crushed everything, and it was really creepy and gross the way they told it. But just the hand and the skin came out the other side empty, and all of her blood and bones got
That's
smushed
gross.
and backed up through her arm.
Yeah,
And
that's really gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by the time she could reach up and unplug the machine, because she couldn't turn it off, it was jammed
Right,
on.
right.
By the time she unplugged it, it had gone up to her elbow.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah.
That's
So she ended up
terrible.
losing her arm and
So how much money did she save the company?
none. Well, $0, -dollars. Like,
Even for
they
the
lost.
3 years of finishing the job 5 minutes faster?
Oh, heck no. You could
Yeah.
have put 10 years on finishing the job 10
That's what
minutes
a lot of
faster.
people don't understand. One of the main answers I hear when I say, why are you doing that? Oh, save the company money.
Oh, yeah, so much
save
faster.
But in the long run, it doesn't ever do
No,
that, ever.
never.
It goes catastrophically in the other direction.
Oh, yeah. Catastrophically.
So two I worked recently was some employees went inside a grain bin, and they decided not to lock and tag it out, and they got caught in an auger and completely severed a foot and broke another leg, and that was bad. And the one I just wrapped up was a new employee.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think it was even night shift. Supposed to be buddied up and cleaning with a rag, and was underneath a machine that didn't have great guarding. It was guarded according to how the manufacturer did it,
Okay.
but they don't expect people to climb under a machine.
While it's running.
Yeah,
Probably
not. Well, this guy did, and rag sucked him in. Yeah, I could talk about this all day long. I had an employee.
I got a backlog in my brain just like sitting there.
Yeah, this one guy, this machine automatically cycles.
Okay.
So he figured he's gonna stick his arm in it and clean in between. This cycle.
Yeah.
But he didn't time it right apparently, because it turned on and yeah. I mean, when you don't,
Has he still got his arm?
yeah, but he's not playing guitar anytime soon. If he was an artist, he's got to switch hands.
Oh no.
It's like one of those disabilities. Like it's not gonna come back to where it was.
Right.
It's like
he'll get some,
disfigured
but-
permanently.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
at least it's still there though.
it's sad. Like I would be devastated. Like I do play guitar, and I'm not an artist, but if I was,
if all of a sudden that was taken away by an action that you did.
everybody does something with their hand.
Oof.
I like watch TV. Every 10 years when I get a chance on my couch. I like to click that little button a whole bunch, and we just need our hands.
It's
And-
just weird, if those things get taken away, you want to go play catch with your kid, but
Yeah.
you're right-handed.
Yeah.
How you can throw a ball.
Yeah, it's sad, and a lot of times it's the dominant hand because that's what you're doing your work with.
Right.
It's
All
like
of a
it's never
sudden-
the left hand.
Well, yeah. Why would you stick your bad hand in to do something
Yeah,
tricky?
you don't do that.
No, we stick our good hand in.
So, lockout tagout standards have been around for a long time, and we say it's a sister to confined space because you shouldn't go into a permit required confined space until you make it safe to enter.
Yep.
Make sure the air's good. There's an auger in there. Shut it off.
A lot of the
You
time.
know?
I mean, not every time,
Make it safe.
but
But
a lot of the time. It's going to involve lockout tagout.
and I think people understand that. Like, I wouldn't go into a chemical storage vessel when it's filled with a hazardous chemical. I'm going to empty it. I'm going to clean it.
Right.
I'm going to test the air.
I don't know. I think jumping into a big vat of pure chlorine sounds great.
Yeah, man, if you want to become like the Joker or something, you might get a superpower. Probably won't.
We talked about that a few podcasts ago.
Yeah.
People still do that.
Yeah, I mean,
There was a guy who tried recently to irradiate various insects and have them bite him and sting him to see if he could get stuff. I think he just got infections.
yeah, it's probably not going to work. I could say that with pretty much. I would bet anybody.
Pretty good
and I
certainty.
would probably win all the bets.
There you go.
But everybody agrees that you wouldn't go into a confined space without making it safe to enter. But the same thing applies to what we're talking about today: machines.
Yeah.
Why would we go into a machine full of moving parts? We're talking about 480 volts. We're talking about big old, motors
And
and
hydraulic cylinders.
yeah, and you're talking about in-rolling nip points
Oh, yeah.
and
Chains
blades
and
and
sprockets.
yeah, all this stuff. Why would we get in there when it could come on?
Oh, yeah, because we want to usually get it done.
Because it takes 5 minutes to lock it out.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't do it all the time, hopefully your company has a machine-specific lockout tagout procedure. It might take you a second to find the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's going to take you another couple minutes to gather the locks and tags. Then it's going to take you another couple minutes to follow the procedure step by step.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could take you 5-10 minutes, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it.
Completely agree.
But not everybody feels that way.
Which is honestly disappointing.
It's literally our life and our livelihood, and it's just not worth it. And it's gruesome. I mean, we're safety guys who show gross occupational accidents in our classes, and our lockout tagout ones,
Lockout tagout
and machine guarding ones are horrific. I just showed some yesterday.
Did you show the new video?
No, I didn't. I told them about it, and
Yeah.
I said, now. I haven't put this in my PowerPoint yet, but I do have it on my phone if any of you guys want to see it. And nobody, just my description of it.
Yeah, they were.
Everybody's like, no, I don't want to see it. But there is those nasty photos in there of that other metal lathe incident.
That guy gets pulled into that lathe and
so
he gets the choppy chop.
I don't care how much you bench or squat. When that machine grabs you,
No.
you're even if you're strong enough to pull out, you may leave your limb in there.
Whatever it grabbed, the machine's keeping. Like, it's not letting go. It's gonna be horrific.
Other people think they're real fast.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just feel it grabbing onto me and I'll pull out. These machines move fast.
Yeah.
And, we just really kind of overestimate our ninja skills sometimes as humans.
Yeah. Now, for me, it's like when people start telling me, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know my job. I get told this by some HVAC technicians when I work with certain things. I'm like, you didn't lock and tag that out. I'm not even going to work over near anything dangerous. I know where the electricity is. I know where the moving parts are. This is what I'm going to be doing. And my big thing that I always try to stress is when we're working, we have a tendency to get real gnarly tunnel vision, and we're not aware of it because we are good at our jobs. We can look right at our task, and we're going, this is where my fingers are. This is the task that I'm doing. And all of a sudden, everything else is kind of not there. And that's how the edge of a towel or the back end of a tool, or a little piece, that's how it's going to get caught in something or find that electrical or find that moving part and pull you in is when we're doing our work that we think we're good at. And we're like, nah, this is good. But it's going to be that piece that we lose focus on. It's going to get us.
Let's talk about some training requirements for a minute. So what does OSHA say as far as training that an employer has to provide its employees for lockout tagout?
It's a big standard. The training requirements for lockout tagout are big. There's 3 groups for lockout tagout training. Aaron, do you remember all 3 groups?
I do not. I only remember affected and authorized right now.
Oh, there's one more.
The lame people.
There you go. I mean, he doesn't
the not
mean
cool people.
he meant not cool. I thought he meant lame as in like generic. No, it's other.
Yeah, people who.
So it's all affected, all authorized, and then other. Anybody who could possibly remotely be in the area of lockout tagout.
Which is very vague.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, it makes sense because if you're working around lockout tagout stuff, and if you were to look it over something that was lock and tagged out, and you were like, well, why is this off? I can't run my machine, and you don't know what it's for, you may be half tempted to go find some bolt cutters lop it off and be like, stupid company, she locked out my machine while I'm using it, turn the thing back on, and then some guy 30 feet away you couldn't see is over there.
Well, wouldn't that be the affected? That's not the other.
No, because he's just in there.
To me, the other would be like some office person.
Oh, see, I was thinking like the authorized guy is working on the affected guy's machine, like 3 stalls down. But then this guy is like, he's not even having his stuff worked on, but that power happened to knock out his machine. So he's just in the area.
We should dig into what other means. Because, you got authorized people that the company allows to lock and tag out equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You got people are affected. Who are affected by what the authorized person does.
Mm-hmm.
So they're there. They're on the floor. They run a machine.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not allowed to put locks and tags on.
Right.
Then to me, the others are like the office people who may go into the floor to post something every now and then, or to go tap on an employee, say, HR would like to talk to you.
Please
see us. That's a other to me. Now, what's the difference in training from authorized and affected?
I mean, authorized, you are trained, of course, on the OSHA standard, but you're also given permission by the company once you've, satisfied the training requirements.
So you only need to be trained on the regs to lock stuff out?
Oh, no. I mean, geez. If we get into the specifics.
That's what we're going for.
Okay.
Get into the weeds, man.
All right. So training requirements for your authorized employee. Not only to get trained on the OSHA regs, you got to get trained on any machine-specific lockout, tagout that you have to perform. And you have to get trained on the capacity and severity of any and all power transmission and whatever that could be, whether it could be, electric, pneumatic, compressed air, gravitational.
So trained on regs and trained on the machine-specific lockout tag procedure and some severity stuff. Now, best guess, say I said 10 companies. I said, hey, AJ, go find out how many of these 10 companies have machine-specific lockout tag procedures generated for their hardwired machines.
I mean, it depends.
So just give me your best guess. How many machine-specific lockout tagout procedures for a hardwired machine do you think you'd find in 10 companies?
All right, I'm going to be optimistic.
Okay.
I'm going to say 3.
yeah.
I'm going to say 3 out of 10.
It's I concur, sir.
Yeah.
It's rare I see a machine-specific lockout tagout procedure written for a hardwired machine. And when I ask them about it and they say, what? What are you talking about?
Right.
We have to have that?
Yeah, in writing.
And then they don't believe me.
And then when you start saying it has to be near the machine so that the person who performs lockout tagout can find and use it, they're like, what?
What's the purpose of a machine-specific lockout tagout procedure?
Well, Aaron, that is to specifically lock out that machine.
I mean, why does it need to be generated and created?
Well, so that anyone, I guess, who's performing that lockout tagout follows it according to the company procedure, and they don't just have to make it up as they go.
What's the problem with making it up?
Well, so that
you're stifling people's creativity, man. You're the man.
I'm the man. Wait, I'm the man?
What? Why is that a problem? Why can't I be like, hey, you see that machine? You got to lock and tag it out when you service it. There's some locks and tags.
Sure. Well,
you'll figure it out. You're a smart guy.
You'll figure it out.
Why is that a problem?
So, I mean, I guess, in my opinion, there's a little bit of hope here. You're hoping that the way they wrote the law is that the company will actually do their due diligence and figure out every source of energy and then put it there so that the employee doesn't have to, miss something.
Right.
Right? That's the
winging
hope.
It's bad. And I got a story on that.
Oh, no.
So this person was locking and tagging out a piece of equipment, and they forgot one source of energy. What was No. Let me take it back. They did shut down all the sources of energy, but they forgot to dissipate one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there was pneumatic, there was air, power.
So there was a charged air line inside the machine.
They had shut off the valve.
Okay.
They had locked and tagged it out. But the procedure said shut off the air line while it's running. So it could run the air out, because there was no air wand downstream where you could just bleed it out.
Right.
There was a very specific way to shut down that machine. You had to shut it down while it was running to get the air out. It's the only way to get the air out.
Totally makes sense.
But they did not. They just shut everything down.
Okay.
And then they got their hands up and stuff. And there was enough energy, residual pneumatic energy, to make a valve open and close once. And it was when their hand was in it.
Sure.
And they sustained an injury.
Ugh.
And that's a mild one.
Yeah.
But, all day long we could talk about shutting down things in the wrong order or sequence.
Yeah.
Didn't make it safe. One more for you. I was looking at a procedure one time, and it was a piece of equipment that ran off gas and electricity.
Sure. Okay.
And what they did was they said, we're going to shut all the power off and shut all the gas off, And I'm looking at this procedure, and I was like, what about the gas in the lines past the shutoff valve? And they said, oh, well, there's this release button, and we just release that.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is inside. And there was like 4 or 5 of these stations. So you're going to release 10 feet of 1-inch pipe full of gas,
good.
4 or 5 times of that gas inside.
Excellent.
And there's other machines with ignition sources right next, all in a row.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
And I'm like,
let's turn off the ventilation
this
first.
is either going to medically affect somebody's health by breathing in this gas, or we're going to blow up.
I'm on board.
I said, let's treat this like a big grill. On a grill, if you shut off your propane valve while it's running, you burn it all out of the line.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I said, let's shut off the gas while it's running to burn out everything residual.
I like it.
So we just swapped a couple steps around, and then we had a good procedure.
Okay.
But that procedure matters. And when people wing it and they miss stuff, they hurt, die, or in that case, could have blown up a whole plant. Blown up a plant because of a bad procedure.
You and I worked one together. You may remember we got to write, 50-some procedures for that one facility.
I know where you're going with that.
Yeah. And they had that specific order for a tunnel freezer. It was the spiral freezer. Product came in at the top, spiraled through, it went down, and the freezer was at negative 135 degrees
Yeah, that's
Celsius.
crazy.
And they had in their procedure that they hadn't actually taught the employees was to make sure that the machine stayed on, and then when you went to go shut it down, that you turned the cooler off, but you left the fan on to blow that ice cold, literally freezing, insane temperature air out. But the employees that were supposed to do it out on the floor, and one of the reason it came up was one of the new maintenance guys was going to go do it, and he'd opened the door.
Okay.
And all of this insanely cold air had come out, and it started to freeze stuff on the line and right in front of the machine.
Wow.
Yeah, well, because nobody had written down that procedure and left it right there on the machine to do it only this way.
Yeah. So the procedures matter, and they're required most of the time. There is a loophole in the OSHA reg that you don't have to have a machine-specific lockout tagout procedure if you meet all 8 of those criteria. You can't just meet one of them. And it is rare. It's really rare that I come across a machine that meets those.
Yeah, it's kind of got to be small stuff.
Yeah.
It can't be much. It can't be very big.
So back to training. Tell me what the purpose is for affected training and what stuff you would cover in that.
In effect. So we're out of
authorized.
We're in affected. The purpose would be that you don't accidentally turn anything on with somebody working in there so they don't get hurt. That's the purpose.
Yeah, just if you see a lock and a tag on equipment and you need it turned on, read the name on the tag and go try to find the person and talk to them.
Or talk to maintenance.
Why
is it?
It's like that. It's don't cut locks and tags. This is what they are. This is what their purpose. Very generic awareness stuff.
Right.
You don't get deep. It's not on procedures because they don't do it. They're not authorized to do it.
Right. They're not going to be putting locks on
It's
stuff.
just what it is and what it's not and how you should handle it when you encounter one.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So let's do a couple OSHA regs.
Okay.
What does the OSHA's regulations say about the locks you use?
They have to be sturdy.
Okay.
There's actually a lot of weird words in there. So it has to be strong enough to handle the environment that it exists in. So if you're going to use it in a caustic or corrosive environment, it has to be able to resist that. If you're going to use it in a high heat environment, it has to resist that. It has to be standardized. So there's a lot of different ways to standardize your locks and tags.
Right.
If you're going to make them all blue, well, then all your locks need to be blue. Or if you're going to use only round locks for lockout tagout, well, now all of your lockout tagout locks have to be round.
It's pretty vague.
Yeah.
I like that, though. It lets
you can
us pick how we're going to do it.
Exactly. You cannot use them for anything other than lockout tagout ever.
Can't put on your locker or your job box.
Exactly. Can't lock up,
How many keys
items.
can you have for your lock?
So there's some ambiguity there, but they say if it's a lock that takes a key, you can only have one key for that lock. And the reason I say there's ambiguity is I've unfortunately, you know me, and sometimes I go down the rabbit holes. There's this weird case, and it ended up in an OSHA question. I'm trying to remember the end of this standard of interpretation, but they had one lock, one key, but it was a master key. And so
Okay.
there was a master key that only opened one lock. It was interesting. Like,
Okay.
It was a weird case.
But generally speaking, one lock, one key.
Yep.
You don't want someone else to have a key and be able to take your lock off and turn your machine on.
Same thing with combo locks. You can use combo locks that don't have keys, but you're supposed to be the only person who
Right.
knows that access.
All right, let's go a little deeper. I got 7 maintenance guys working inside a machine, and there's only one energy source. How many locks need to be on that machine?
Well, do you want a weird, tricky answer? Or just want,
No, just a basic one will
okay,
work.
7 locks.
Yeah, that really blows people's mind when I tell them that.
I mean, we could just put one lock on it and use a lockbox.
Yeah,
But then I've got 7 locks on a lockbox.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But everybody that is exposed to
Yep.
that energy needs their own lock.
Yep.
I don't care if the first guy did it perfect.
Right.
Because the problem is hey, Mike's over there on that machine. He's got it locked down. I'm going to go help him. I just crawl under there and start helping him.
Right.
And then I make Mike mad because I'm good at that. I'm like, Mike, you know what? I think you could be more efficient if you do it this way. And he's like, shut up, Aaron. And I'm like, I think it would make more sense if you do it this way. Mike, when I do it this way. So Mike's mad now. So Mike's leaving. Mike's like, well, if you're so smart, you do it, Aaron. Then he leaves. But Mike's going to take his company issued lock with him because he doesn't want that taken out of his check. So he essentially unlocks the machine and he leaves. And I'm still under there. And then Mr. AJ, he comes around and goes, why is Mike's machine not running? I'm going to help him out.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I'm super helpful.
AJ turns on Mike's machine, and he turns Aaron into whatever product that company makes. And if it's a food manufacturing company, I don't know what flavor I'd be.
Well,
Actually,
Aaron.
I would do. I'd probably
Aaron
be
flavor.
Tapatio.
You'd be Italian?
I would be that'd be Mexican. I am Italian, but I eat
That's
more
what I was
Mexican
thinking.
food.
You'd be Italian.
I'd be a cilantro
Like a
Tapatio
spicy
flavor.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got
'cause
you.
that's mainly what I consume. But if it was a plant that produced candy, nobody
Sure.
wants a cilantro Tapatio flavored candy.
All right.
Well, maybe,
honestly,
actually.
yeah. All of a sudden, I started
okay.
thinking about Mexican candy, and I was like,
Yeah, that
some of that
sounds
stuff
good.
that my friends give me is like,
Yeah.
here, this tastes like meatballs, spiciness, and pineapples, and I'm like, it's a hard candy. They're like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. All right. So
I got a
of
weird one with
okay,
you.
go for it.
This was a real one that came up. If you want to like, I don't know. Well, I don't want to try to like go too far with it, but this one was interesting. Had a employee on a machine working on it, right? He put his lock and tag on it, working on the machine, went to go to shift changeover, and instead of the other guy applying his lock, the first guy just gave him his key.
Okay.
And what do you think?
So
It's a weird one.
okay.
I had to take the time. I
So
dug
the
it up.
employee who puts the locks on has to be the one that takes it
Has
off,
to be the one that takes them on.
unless it's extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
So I
So-
would say that's no bueno.
It is. It's no bueno. Well, then what's
Yeah.
the other? And this is one we actually should cover for all of our people because we found a really fun place where you don't need tags, remember?
Yeah.
The lock that's applied has to identify the employee that it's protecting. So if, AJ goes over and I lock a machine out and I got my tag on there and it says AJ's doing this work, and then Aaron comes by and he's like, hey, you can go home now. I'm going to take over for you. So I'm like, all right, Aaron, here's my key. No problem. You don't got to do all this extra work and relock it out. Here's my key. You're like, all right, cool. But all those locks still say that I'm doing the work and
Yeah.
you're the one on the machine.
Yeah, no bueno.
Right?
No bueno.
But they thought this was solid. They were like, no, this is a solid game plan. Like, this is how we make sure everybody's safe. And I was like, but you don't actually know who's safe. You walk
Right.
by that lock, on the circuit breaker that's,
Yeah.
200 yards away from that machine, and it says, I'm over there. You're going to be like, oh, AJ went home. He's not over there. You're going to pry bar that thing right off and turn it on.
Yeah, a lot of danger there. A lot of danger. You know,
Mhm.
the standards are good, and if they're followed, they save lives. And we've just seen cases after cases where one of these rules broke and it resulted in a death, amputation.
I got
and
more
permanent
stories we didn't
disfigurement.
even talk about. I got plenty more stories.
Yeah, there's so many, but you know what? We are out of time.
That happens.
So maybe we'll do a lockout, tagout, deuce.
Yeah.
Do. But for now, everybody, we really appreciate you tuning in and learning about safety, what to do, what not to do, and
Yeah.
most important, how not to die at work.
Oh, of course.
For AJ and Aaron, we are the Evil Safety Dudes. And stay tuned. We got a very special podcast coming up with an awesome guest speaker, Mr. Ron Snyder. He's the safety guy that I want to be when I grow up. And he is going to come onto our podcast, and we're going to talk about disaster response. It is coming out soon.
Real life safety hero, you guys.
Yeah.
You do not want to miss this.
So until next time, everybody, stay safe.